60-watt laser kind of setup use, and then on the back end we'll have some light burn tutorials. But here's our laser. A couple things to pay attention to always is the water chiller, obstructions or things left on the bed, and just plugs in general. So here's our USB, which we'll use packets to send. So we just group our things, send it to it. Other thing is being plugged into the wall. And then if you look back at this panel, our water chiller is actually hooked up into the laser. So when it comes on, it'll actually turn that water chiller on. One thing that's not tied in is our fan system. So our exhaust system that's running out, we have that standalone, right? So go over basic setup. First things first, safety, safety, safety. Make sure you never run this thing with this door up or the side panels, because that laser can hit something and reflect off of it. So here is the control panel. Right, I really enjoy this control. Very simple. You can look through these, go slow. Remember, reading the manual is very, very important to us. Controls as far as, you know, jogging the machine, pulsing the machine, changing speeds, starts and stops. Most of the time we control these from our laptops, right? So we plug in, have real-time communication, and we'll send a movement. Okay, close to real time, but we are sending, you know, pulses that are coming from this controller. So two ways to operate it, right? So e-stop, very important. If you see something going on, boom, hit this e-stop and it'll actually go back to origin. So don't remove your material until you fully have to remove that material. So it looks like there was an origin maybe somewhere over here on the last run. So bed is clear. Right, so there's no obstructions anywhere on this bed. We've checked that. Everything is looks good. Power's on, looks good. So I'm gonna start this machine up right now. The emergency stop is on, but you have this control switch, then you have a laser switch, right? So the cool thing is that laser, so you can keep yourself really safe and others, is you can actually have this switch off and also no key, and that laser will never send that beam, right? So I'll show you the laser and where that beam's being formed. But first let's boot up our machine and watch what happens. So when I boot this up, a couple things are happening. You hear that diaphragm pump that's bringing air down to that nozzle, but it's actually traveling to the back, right? So what it's going to do is going to hit the X and Y stop on the machine, and then it's going to travel back to the last origin. Boom. So that must have been the last origin, and looks like we can go over a couple things. So on the controller, these are movements, okay? One thing I really enjoy about this machine is you do have those X and Y movements, but your Z is manual, so you can't make a mistake and actually run this nozzle by, you know, pressing buttons to give a signal to the machine to go. So I really enjoy that about this machine. So I've got this on. There's air coming out. No key. No laser coming out. You have a red dot indicator, and I'll share with you what that's doing. It's just an indicator, but it's coming out, and if we had the focal length set, you'll see that that is straight down through where that beam is coming in through the mirrors from the back. Boom, 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 comes out right there. We'd be good to go, right? So you'll see that we can adjust this up and down. It actually changes the location. So if you look on the blue lines, you'll see that location go forward and backwards, which is an indicator that you know, you're actually changing that angle based on the distance and where it's coming out of that nozzle. So that red dot is actually back here, so you know that's where that beam's coming out, okay? So don't think that that laser is actually the cutting laser. Now, before we go any further, we're gonna key on our fan. So if you turn it on high, it means it's pulling that CFM's all the way up and it's exhausting as fast as it can. So it makes me exhausted. Now, we can plug into this machine, we can talk to it now, but one of the things that I want to show you is just loading a material and Zing off of it. This machine does not know the depth of your material, so you have to understand cutting depths and everything, and you actually program it to do the cut that you know it's capable of. So this machine does not know the material depth. So now I'm going to show you how to get the focal point on this machine. So this knob, like I said, up and down, we're going to leave that setting right there. I'm going to get this camera adjusted slightly. I'm gonna grab the handy dandy keys. So this key set, Mr. D checks out to you, and he's right here with you so that you run this machine properly. There's a set of keys. There's an acrylic test at 300 millimeters per second. Then you have your power percentages off of 100. We don't ever want to run 90% of our power. Don't even go this high with the power. Don't ever do that, okay? It'll save our laser. It'll extend the life of it. So if you notice right now, this is the focal point, and right there, it's not touching. So I'm actually going to take it down pretty deep so you can see the difference. So that focal point, I'm going to close the laser. I'm going to check a few things. My exhaust is on, and then my chiller. So if I start looking right down over here, it's going to show 18 degrees Celsius. We're good. The water is going through the lasers. Still have the handy dandy keys right here. But I'm going to walk behind. I'm going to open this. It says danger, danger. I'm going to inspect my laser. Now, this should be turned on daily. We can do an inspection, but for 3 weeks now, we haven't had bubbles in this tube, which is really good. You can look more in depth in this laser, you know, on your own to see how they're working. It's really, really cool. So you can do a deep dive on your own. So it says caution, invisible light radiation. It's invisible. It's really crazy. So what we're gonna do, we're safe, we've checked everything, exhaust is on. Now I'm gonna grab the key. Remember, this turns on the laser, so now we have power running to that tube back there. It's being controlled, it's looking for a signal. That signal comes on, sends the power. Remember, not over 90. Better if we keep it at 80 or below. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this screen and I'm gonna pulse this. Watch the red dot. Watch where the beam comes out. Ooh, that's an ugly beam. So you can see that that was way off from the red laser, but it's actually straight down below that. So it's not calibrated. Turn in the switch off. That's just not to have the key in it. I'm now gonna level this, okay? So I say level it. I'm gonna get that distance between there and there. Perfect. So I'm gonna move the card over. I'm gonna raise the bed, raise the bed. Come on everybody and raise the bed. So I'm actually gonna come close to the nozzle, and I'm gonna come off of it. So I'm lowering it, lowering, 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 and then this goes directly under it. Super precise. It's almost not even a thou under there. So now I'm gonna run that, I'm gonna pulse it, I'm gonna do the same thing. How I have to do that is I'm gonna engage my laser, I'm gonna use pulse, and I'm gonna go whoop. So you saw that little flash. Now I'm gonna turn my laser off, take my keys out, and there is a small pinhole. So if you look, there is a difference between those holes. This one, focal point aligned. This one, not aligned. So you want this one. So it's very easy by using that Z knob to do something, right? So that's basic use. That's material setup. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go down here and we're gonna grab some Delrin. Ticaform AH resin grade. It's a Palm CO. Palm CO. You need to read about this material because it might be plant-based. You know, you got to know your materials. So, you know, a brand name we use, an industry name is a Delrin, right? But Palm C, important plastic. Okay, it is an approved one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this laser aligned, or this material aligned. So I'm gonna go to the edge of that, and I'm gonna travel down. As I travel down, the laser is slightly off. So I'm gonna hold this point, and then I'm gonna rotate my material to where it's about on the edge. As I travel down, now I'm on the edge of that material, and I'm actually going to hit origin. Okay, that resets that origin, and I can get back to that edge. But I need to do something really important now. I need to now change this depth because I did change a material. I went from this, and now I'm at a 062. It says 062 material. So if we were to take our caliper, we would figure that out. So, ooh, it will not fit under there. So I'm gonna turn my dial until that goes under. That was ever so slight turn. And now I am ready to use this material. Now, what you don't have to do is a pulse test, especially if you're used to using the machine. But I'm gonna drive it over here. And then right off of here, we're gonna do a small pulse test. I'm gonna drive it off of it, and there you go. You have your pinhole. So, a couple things that I've done. I went over powering on the machine, turning the laser on and off, a couple of the safety features and safety awareness, the exhaust on and off, the chiller, the plugs in the back, the USB connector that you'll end up using when you're using the actual software, basic functionality of this Ruida controller, that the 0 is the real right on this machine, the rear right, and there's our e-stop. So we're actually going to power this machine down because the next part is using the software. We'll drive it to the back. I'm going to hit the e-stop. I'm going to leave the exhaust on for a minute. That way everything's clear, right? So after you make a long burn, let it set for 2 minutes. Let it exhaust really good. So I'm removing my material. Put it down here. I can turn the fan off. Keys, Mr. D has them. Super awesome keys. Turn on light switch. So enjoy the laser. Create the things that you dream of.